The constable knocks on a Tuesday. Your hands are still floury from the morning bread when you hear it. 3 hard raps on the door that sound different from a neighbor's knock. Slower, deliberate, the kind that carries weight behind it. You wipe your hands on your apron. You open the door. The cold February air hits your face, and behind the constable, you can see 2 men you recognize from the village road, and you understand before anyone speaks that your name has been said somewhere it should not have been said. A girl accused you, not of anything you can touch or see or answer. She told the magistrates that your shape came to her in the night and pressed upon her chest until she could not breathe. Your shape, not you. A version of you, dispatched by the devil while you slept in your own bed beside your husband. This is the charge. This is enough. The village of Salem has been burning cold all winter. The Massachusetts Bay Colony has been without a stable royal charter since 1684, which means no clear land title law, no certainty that the eastern field your family has worked for over a decade is legally yours, and the family whose daughter just said your name in front of the magistrates has disputed that field's boundary for 3 years. You do not think about this connection yet. You will. The examination takes place before magistrates John Hathorne and Jonathan Corwin in a room packed with bodies and the smell of tallow candles and wet wool. The afflicted girls are present. This is standard procedure. Their testimony, documented in the court transcripts of 1692, is considered essential to establish the reality of the bewitchment in real time. The moment you are brought through the door, they begin. Writhing, screaming that your shape is tormenting them right now, this instant, even as you stand with your hands folded and your feet still. The noise is extraordinary. You have never heard anything like it in a church or a courthouse or anywhere that calls itself a place of law. Magistrate Hathorne does not ask whether you are guilty. He asks why you are doing this to these children. You say you are not doing anything. He asks again. The girls scream louder. A woman in the crowd begins weeping. You understand in this moment that the examination is not a proceeding designed to find the truth. It is a proceeding designed to confirm what has already been decided. Hathorne's questions, preserved in the Essex County court records, read not like a magistrate seeking information, but like a man collecting confession. Innocence is not a legal position here. It is an obstacle. They chain you and take you to Salem prison. The stone walls sweat in winter. There is no heat worth the name. You learn almost immediately that you are expected to pay for your own imprisonment. Your chains, your food, your cell. Your husband begins selling equipment the following week. You have been formally charged with nothing. You sit in the dark and wait for a court that will not convene for months. The logic of the prison reaches you slowly, passed in whispers after the guards stop making rounds. The ones who confess are not being hanged. The ones who say, yes, I did it. I signed the devil's book. I repent. They are being taken aside. Their confessions are recorded. Their executions are deferred. The colony needs confessors. Without confessions, the trials look like what they are. And so they have built a system with a perfect internal logic. Lie and live. Tell the truth and hang. You watch a woman from your cell confess. She is not a witch. You have known her since before her youngest child was born. She sits across from you with her eyes on the floor and names names. Names that contemporary accounts and modern historical analysis of confession patterns suggest were in many cases supplied or confirmed by the magistrates themselves. And one of the names she says is yours. She will not look at you. You do not blame her. You tell yourself you do not blame her. You send a message to your minister through your husband. 20 years of sitting in his congregation. 20 years of tithes that helped pay his salary, his firewood, the roof over the meeting house where he stood and called you all to righteousness. You ask him to speak to the court about your character. You ask him to say what 2 decades of knowing you should mean. He sends back word through your husband's pale face. The court, he says, is proceeding under proper authority. He cannot interfere with God's instrument of justice. You sit with that for a long time in the dark. The Court of Oyer and Terminer convenes in June of 1692, established by Governor William Phipps with the Latin words that mean hear and determine. Your trial date arrives in the deep summer heat. The evidence against you is the testimony of the afflicted girls, the confession of your cellmate naming you as a Confederate, and a man's claim that your shape appeared in his barn some months past. There is no physical evidence. There is no witnessed act. There is no document, no object, no corroborated account of anything you have actually done with your hands or your mouth or your body. What there is, several people saying they felt you. You call witnesses, neighbors who have known you for years, people who come forward knowing that to speak for an accused person in Salem in the summer of 1692 is to invite the same suspicion onto yourself. They come anyway. They testify to your character, your faith, your decades of ordinary goodness. The jury deliberates. They come back, not guilty. For 1 hour, you believe you're going home. You feel the word like water after a long drought, not guilty. And for 1 hour, every gray stone of that prison is already behind you, and you are already thinking about the eastern field and the bread you will make on Tuesday. Chief Justice William Stoughton looks at the verdict and refuses it. He instructs the jury to reconsider a statement you made during testimony, that the woman who confessed and named you was, in your words, one of us. You meant it the way anyone would mean it. Fellow prisoner, person in the same hell. Stoughton directs the jury to treat it as an admission of shared guilt in witchcraft. The jury, under the weight of his authority, reverses the verdict. This is documented in the trial record. This happened. The law in 1692 Massachusetts allows a judge to send a jury back until they return the answer he is looking for, and William Stoughton uses that power on your acquittal without hesitation or apparent shame. You think about Thomas Putnam. You think about him sitting in his seat as a church deacon, a man of standing, a man whose daughter's testimony is treated as the word of an innocent child under supernatural attack, rather than the word of a girl whose father is in an active property dispute with your family, and at least 4 other families whose members are now also in chains. No one examines Thomas Putnam. No one asks what he gains. No one points at the land records and asks the simplest question a court should ask, which is why. The law has no mechanism for examining the accuser's motive. It has only tools for interrogating the accused. You understand, for the first time, with complete clarity, that this was never about witchcraft. Gallows Hill sits outside the town proper. The cart ride from the prison takes longer than you expected. It is July 19th, 1692, and you are one of 5 women to be hanged that day, a fact that Salem's official records and contemporaneous accounts confirm without dispute. The hill is not dramatic. It is rocky ground with a tree and a rope and a ladder, and a crowd that has come because the court has made attendance an implicit test of civic faith. To stay away is to invite questions about why you stayed away. You do not confess. This is the last choice that belongs entirely to you. Not because you are brave in any way that history will remember, but because the thing they are asking you to say is not true. And you have spent 20 years in a community that told you truth was sacred, and you find you cannot let go of that even here, even now, even with the rope in front of you. Maybe that is stubbornness. Maybe it is the last piece of dignity that no court and no magistrate and no minister who abandoned you can actually take. In 1711, the Massachusetts legislature reverses the attainders. Your name is among those cleared. Your family receives a share of the colony's restitution payment of £578 10 shillings, divided among the families of the executed. The legislature has done the arithmetic of your life and arrived at a number somewhere around 7 pounds. Ann Putnam Jr. offers a public apology in 1706. She says she acted under a delusion of Satan. Her church accepts the apology. She is the only accuser who apologizes formally. The rest face no legal consequence, ever. Judge Samuel Sewall makes a public statement of guilt in 1697 and carries it for the rest of his life. He is the only judge to do so. William Stoughton, the man who sent the jury back until they returned your death, retires and dies with his reputation largely intact. He is later memorialized. Cotton Mather, the Boston minister whose prolific writings gave the court its theological justification and who attended executions to ensure the crowds did not grow too sympathetic, dies celebrated. The Putnam family retains their land. The people who built the machine walk away from it. The people who were fed into it do not. What ended the Salem trials was not justice. It was not conscience. It was not the realization that innocent people were dying. What ended the Salem trials was that the accusations spread far enough to reach people with power. Governor Phipps's own wife was named. At that point, the machine was adjusted. The targeting was the problem. The machine itself was fine. Right now, in the United States, approximately 97% of federal criminal convictions are resolved through plea bargains, not jury trials. Innocence Project data shows that a significant portion of people later exonerated by DNA evidence had originally pleaded guilty. The logic is the same logic you faced in that prison in 1692. Confess to something you did not do and survive, or tell the truth and face a system that will make you pay for refusing to make its job easier. The rope looks different now. The math has not changed. What changed in Salem when the machine finally stopped? The accusations reached someone it wasn't supposed to reach. Drop a comment and tell me what you think it would take this time. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.